What's up, guys? My name is TechnoTuner, and today I'm bringing to you another deck profile. Today I'm bringing to you my Thunder Dragon Invoked deck profile, as Alistair the Invoker has gotten a upgrade and newer cards to really benefit his fusion strategy. Thunder Dragon is another engine that can be utilized in this deck to give you further capability to lock your opponent from searching, but offer up other light and dark combo plays to allow you to go into Chaos Angel and other aspects as well. While this deck offers up so much more in playability and opportunities to further expand your capabilities in board breaking and negation and board setup, this deck also offers up another way to play one of the most well-known and beloved decks of the time, which is Alistair the Invoker and his deck. Given that we got the most recent episode for Alistair and his series, this deck is very fitting nonetheless, but I have to say, as a whole and as a personal fit, Thunder Dragon and Alistair the Invoker, or the Invoked strategy, mixing those together has always been one of my favorites. So I wanted to bring an updated and upgraded form of that to you guys today, instead of bringing you the older version that we had originally. This deck, as you guys will see as I go over throughout the video, is very unique and has a lot of entertaining ways in which you can set up different boards, and has a lot of good capability to further climb the ladder. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and let's go ahead and hop right into our main deck. So, starting off with the Invoked core, we're playing 3 Alistair the Invoker, the original Alistair. Quick effect, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, then target one fusion monster you control, gains 1000 attack and defense until the end of this turn. If this card is normal summon or flip face up, you can add 1 invocation from your deck to your hand. It's a very helpful card nonetheless, starts your combos, gets you the invocation in which you need to start your fusions. We're following that up with 3 Iwas, Divine Spirit of the Law, giving you full board capability to where you can banish this card from your hand or field, add 1 Alistair monster from your deck to your hand, then if this effect was activated on field, immediately after this effect resolves, you can normal summon 1 spellcaster monster. If a face-up fusion monster you control is sent to the graveyard except by battle while this card is in your graveyard, except during damage step, you can special summon this card. Then you can fusion summon 1 invoked monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field. You can only use each effect of Iwas, Divine Spirit of the Law, once per turn. It's a great way of just basically getting it onto the board through the spell and being able to normal summon out your Alistair the Invoker as an additional normal summon, but gives you forward capability to fusion summon if you need to as well. It's a really good extender nonetheless. Next, we're playing 2 Alistair the Reminiscent. If this card is in your hand, you can target 1 spellcaster monster or 1 fusion monster on the field, special summon this card, and if you do, the targeted monster gains 1000 attack until the end of this turn. If this card is normal or special summon or flip face up, you can banish 1 invoke monster from your extra deck, add 1 invocation or 1 spell that mentions it from your deck to your hand. You can only use each effect of Alistair the Reminiscent once per turn. Basically, a really good extender, gives you opportunity to get into your invocations a lot easier by utilizing a invoke monster that you're probably not going to utilize this turn, but it also offers up a lot more playability nonetheless, as it can special summon itself if there's a spellcaster or an infusion monster on board. Then, of course, we're playing the 1 Vikram, the Divine Spirit of Artifice. If you have an Alistair monster in your field or graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is special summoned, you can set 1 invocation or 1 spell that mentions it from your deck to the field. When your opponent activates a card or effect in response to your fusion monster's effect activation, quick effect, you can banish this card you control. If you do, negate that opponent's effect, and if you do, banish it. You can only use each effect of Vikram, the Divine Spirit of Artifice, once per turn. So just another good negation, but board clearer as well, because it negates and banishes, which can further hurt your opponent depending on the boards they're making. Now, as for the Thunder Dragons, the fun part, it is Thunder Dragon Dark. Quick effect, you can discard this card, add 1 Thunder Dragon Dark from your deck to your hand. If this card is banished or sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add 1 Thunder Dragon card from your deck to your hand, except Thunder Dragon Dark. You can only use 1 Thunder Dragon Dark effect once per turn, and only once that turn. So basically, if you discard it, you can only activate the discard effect to where you can add another Thunder Dragon Dark, but if you manage to normal summon it and get off the field, you can activate the other effect, or if it's banished, you can activate the other effect to search a Thunder Dragon card, which can help you further your combos or anything along those lines. Alright, and next we're playing 3 Thunder Dragon Roar. You can discard this card, add to your hand one of your Thunder Dragon cards as banished or in your graveyard except Thunder Dragon Roar. If this card is banished or sent from the field to the graveyard, you can special summon Thunder Dragon monster from your deck in defense position, but return it to the hand during the end phase. You can only use one Thunder Dragon Roar effect per turn and only once that turn. So basically giving you the full board capability of recycling back something in your banish or graveyard, but also giving you the capability to summon from deck if it is banished or sent to the graveyard from the field. So that can help a lot. Then, of course, we're playing 3 of the OG Thunder Dragon. You can discard this card, add up to 2 Thunder Dragon from your deck to your hand. Just gives us additional light targets to make Mechaba and other monsters. And then we're playing 2 Thunder Dragon Hawk. Me and my friends were controversial in this one, as we do have a lot of ways to recur back the bodies, but Thunder Dragon Hawk I feel is a great way to further extend and gives you the capability of mulliganing if you draw into a dead hand. You can discard this card, special summon one of your Thunder Dragon monsters that is banished or in your graveyard, except Thunder Dragon Hawk. If this card is banished or sent from the field to the graveyard, you can shuffle any number of cards from your hand into the deck, then draw the same number of cards. You can only use one Thunder Dragon Hawk effect per turn, only once that turn. It also gives us 2 additional light targets, which I feel is very beneficial in this deck, nonetheless. Now, as for hand traps, of course, we're playing the 3 Milcharmy Fualos, 2 Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, and 2 Androl and Lockbird. In all honesty, you could probably up the Ghost Ogre, Snow Rabbit, cut Thunder Dragon Hawk down to 1, and utilize it that way, and make Ghost Ogre a 3 of. But I kind of like this ratio, because that way I'm seeing more of the ways to play into hand traps or play around hand traps, because this deck offers up a lot of good pace and playability to where a single hand trap or 2 is not really going to stop the deck outright. It does offer up a lot of good capability nonetheless to break opponents' boards and set up further negation as well, which is very insane with this deck build, as the older Invoked Thunder build was really prone to hand traps, while this one is not. But aside from that, this is all I have for the main deck monsters. Let's go ahead and hop right into our spells and traps. Alright, as for our spells, we're playing 3 Magical Meltdown. When this card is activated, you can add 1 Alistair the Invoker from your deck to your hand. The activation of cards and effects that include the effect that Fusion Summon a Fusion Monster cannot be negated. Also, your opponent's cards and effects cannot activate when a monster is Fusion Summoned this way. You can only activate 1 Magical Meltdown effect per turn. Basically, you know the whole rule. If they start with Magical Meltdown, they usually have the Alistair or the Invocation in hand, so it doesn't really stop anything. But in this case, we're still playing the 3 Magical Meltdown because it protects our fusions and allows us to fusion summon without any interference, which can make it a lot easier. Up next, of course, though, we're playing 3 Sacred Spirit Sword Iwas. Activate one of these effects, but you cannot declare attacks for the rest of this turn except with fusion monsters. Special summon Iwas Divine Spirit of Law from your deck or graveyard. Take 1 Alistair monster from your deck and either send it to the graveyard or banish it. Look at 3 random face-down cards in your opponent's extra deck, and if you do, banish one of them. You can only activate 1 Sacred Spirit of Iwas per turn. Basically, a great way of getting your Spirit of Iwas onto the board to start your combo, to add a Alistair monster by banishing it, or you have the option to fill your graveyard with a Alistair monster if you need to get that monster into the graveyard to start your fusion summoning. It has a lot of good capability there, but it's also got the beneficial card effect of basically an extra deck rip, which can hurt your opponent a lot. Up next, of course, we're playing the 2 OG Invocation. Fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand as fusion material. If summoning an invoked fusion monster this way, you can also banish monsters from your field and or either player's graveyard as fusion materials. If this card is in your graveyard, you can target one of your banished Alistair the Invoker, shuffle this card into the deck, and if you do, add that monster to the hand. You can only use this effective invocation once per turn. It's a great way of getting us a monster for our Mechaba to get a monster effect negation on board, but it's also a really good extension because it lets us use monsters from our graveyard, field, and hand, same way with our opponent's graveyard as well, which can hurt them depending on what deck they are playing. The other card that we're playing 2 of is 2 Invocation Sword. You can fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters you control. If summoning a invoked fusion monster this way, you can also return monsters from any banishment to the graveyard. You can target 1 Alistair monster or invocation in your graveyard, shuffle this card into the deck, and if you do, add that target to your hand. You only use each effective invocation sword once per turn. So further giving you more capability to get recursion back for your invocations in the graveyard to continue your fusion plays, or to basically go through and get a Alistair back to hand, which can help out a lot, but you're also refilling your graveyard, which can make it even more difficult for your opponent to deal with. Because basically, if you're putting the targets back in for fusion summoning from your banish to your graveyard, you can utilize it to further extend into more problematic cards or give you more targets to work with instead of just the generic 2 or 3 that you would already have. Now, as for the 1-of spells, I am only playing 1 Thunder Dragon Fusion. Fusion summon 1 Thunder Dragon Fusion monster from your extra deck by shuffling the fusion materials listed on it from into the deck from among your cards on the field, in your graveyard, and face-up banished cards. During your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard, add 1 Thunder monster from your deck to your hand. You can only use each effect of Thunder Dragon Fusion once per turn. So giving you the full board capability, but still, you don't want to see this card as much in this build because we have Invocation and Invocation Sword that allows us to fusion summon anyways and can be very beneficial nonetheless. We're playing the 1 Triple Tactics Talent, the 1 Called by the Grave, and the 1 Gold Sarcophagus, because this gives us a monster that is banished. Since we can banish 1 card from our deck face up, then during the second standby phase after this card's activation, we can add that target to our hand, but it triggers off our Thunder Dragon monsters to trigger off their effects, such as Roar to summon, Dark to add, Hawk to mulligan. It can give us further capability to break a lot of stuff as well, but it mainly is just an extender. And then, of course, the final card, which is 1 Trap, which is Gamma Summon. Banish 1 Alistair monster or 1 Fusion monster from your graveyard, special 1 Invoked monster from your extra deck, ignoring summoning conditions. But banish it during the end phase. If a monster is banished face up while this card is in your graveyard, except during the damage step, you can banish this card, then target 1 of your banished Invoked monsters, special summon it. You can only use each effect of Gamma Summon once per turn. So giving you the full board capability of getting monsters back a lot more easily can give you further capability of breaking your opponent's board, but it also allows you to set up more of a hindrance to your opponent nonetheless. This deck is very fun, and as you guys have seen, it is a very well mix of Thunder Dragon and Invoked to give you more of a capable combo that this deck can work with. But anyways, let's go ahead and hop right into our extra deck. All right, so what about our extra deck? Of course, you guys have already seen the 1 Thunder Dragon Colossus, but the fun part is we're playing 2. Must be either fusion summon or special summon from during the turn a thunder monster's effect was activated in the hand by attributing 1 thunder effect non-fusion monster, in which case you do not use polymerization. Cards cannot be added from the main deck to your opponent's hand except by drawing them. If this card would be destroyed by a battle or card effect, you can banish 1 thunder monster from your graveyard instead. So basically giving you further capability of locking your opponent from really searching, but it also gives you more capability nonetheless of protection to trigger off more thunder monsters in your graveyard as well during your opponent's turn. Then, of course, we have 2 Thunder Dragon Titan, 3 Thunder Dragon monsters, or must be fusion summoned or special summoned by banishing 1 Thunder monster from your hand and 1 fusion monster from your board that you control, except Thunder Dragon Titan, in which case you do not use polymerization. When a Thunder monster's effect is activated in the hand, even during damage step, quick effect, you can destroy 1 card on the field. If this card would be destroyed by card effect, you can banish 2 cards from your graveyard instead. So basically, since we're messing with our graveyard a lot, banishing cards doesn't feel as bad as it used to. It gives us more capability to combo off and start a lot of different things, but it also gives us more protection nonetheless with this deck. As for the Invoked monsters and Invoked core, we're playing a lot of 1-0s. Starting off with that, we're playing 1 Invoked Sorath, 1 Alistair monster plus 1 fire or wind. During the main phase, quick effect, you can target 1 level 6 or lower monster in either graveyard, special summon it to your field and defense position, but negates effects. If this card is in your graveyard, you can fusion summon 1 Invoked fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing this card from your graveyard and monsters from your field or graveyard as material. You can only use each effect of Invoked Sorath once per turn. It's a great way to revive back a Thunder Dragon if you need to basically go into your Colossus play if you've already activated the hand effect of 1 of those Thunder Dragon monsters. But there's also other cards in which you can revive back with it to start combos, because if you could take an Alistair, you can take that and Sorath and make a Chaos Angel for further board breaking. Up next, we're playing 1 Invoked Babaran, 1 Alistair monster plus 1 Light or Earth monster. If this card is special summoned, you can add 1 Vikram, the Divine Spirit of Artifice, or 1 Gamma Summon from your deck to your hand. Then you can banish 1 monster from your either graveyard. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 fusion monster you control. Monster's opponent Monsters your opponent currently controls lose attack equal to the targeted monster's attack until the end of this turn. You can only use each effect of Invoked Barbarian once per turn. So just a great way to get into our Vikram and search up other cards, but it's also a really good way to lower our opponent's attack if we need to. The real pain in the butt card that a lot of people don't like dealing with is Invoked Oceanus. 1 Alistair monster plus 1 dark or water monster. While this card is in the main monster zone, your opponent's monsters cannot target monsters for attacks except this one. While this card is in the extra monster zone, any monster sent to your opponent's graveyard is banished instead. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 fusion monster you control. It can attack directly this turn. You can only use this effect of Invoked Oceanus once per turn. So basically making it to where you either have to attack into it, or it's a Macros Cosmos on the board. It is very problematic for your opponent nonetheless. Now, as for some of the original Invoked monsters, we're playing 1 Invoked Caliga, 1 Alistair the Invoker plus 1 Dark Monster. If a player's monster effect attempts to activate, none of that player's monsters can activate their effects for the rest of this turn, while this card is face up on the field. Each player can attack only with 1 monster during each battle phase. It's just a good board lock, prevents our opponent from really doing anything, and slows them down. Then, of course, we're playing the Invoked Rajan, 1 Alistair the Invoker plus 1 Wind Monster. Once per turn, during either player's turn, you can target 1 face-up monster in the field, change it to face-down defense position. 1 Invoked Mechaba, 1 Alistair the Invoker plus 1 Light Monster. Once per turn, when a spell or trap card or monster effect is activated, quick effect, you can send the same type of card, monster, spell, or trap, from your hand to the graveyard and negate the activation. If you do, banish that card. So, just good negation, also Nibiru protection if you need it. 1 Invoked Egoides, 1 Alistair the Invoker plus 1 Fusion Monster. If this card is special summoned or a monster is special summoned to your opponent's field, you can target 1 monster your opponent controls, destroy it. You can only use this effect of Invoked Egoides once per turn. Once per turn, you can banish 1 Fusion Monster from your graveyard. This card gains attack equal to the banished monster's attack until the end of your opponent's turn, further slowing down your opponent, but also offers up a lot of good popping capability there. Then we have 1 Invoked Elysium, 1 Invoked Monster plus 1 monster that is special summoned from the extra deck. Must be fusion summoned with the fusion materials, or the above fusion materials. While face up on the field, this card is also Dark, Earth, Water, Fire, and Wind attribute. Once per turn, quick effect, you can target 1 invoked monster you control or in your graveyard, banish it, and all monsters your opponent controls with the same attribute as that monster. So this makes it even more problematic for your opponent because they can't get over 4K Defender or 3200 that can banish your opponent's monsters that are just in the same attribute as one of the invoked monsters you target. So this can actually hurt a lot of your opponents because depending on the attributes they're playing, that can really slow them down or stop their plays nonetheless. For the final fusion, of course, we're playing 1 Hyper Invoked Aeon. 2 or more fusion monsters with different attributes. If this card is fusion summoned, you can manage cards from the field and graveyards up to the number of monsters used as material. Then if you use 3 or more materials, you can look at your opponent's extra deck and banish up to 3 cards from it. Quick effect, you can declare 1 attribute. All other monsters on the field become that attribute until the end of this turn. You can only use 1 Hyper Invoked Aeon effect per turn and only once that turn. So, basically turning it into, let me just banish anything I want by shuffling back monsters from my banish or graveyard using either Invocation to make it or using a Sword Invocation to make it, which can really hurt your opponent a lot because you're hitting their extra deck, but you're also banishing cards on the field, which can slow them down and hinder their plays. Now, as for the non-invoked monsters, of course, we're playing the 1 Chaos Angel, 1 Tuner plus 1 non-light or dark monsters. For this card, Synchro Summon, you can treat 1 light or dark monster you control as a tuner. If this card is special summon, you could target 1 card on the field, banish it. This card gains these effects based on the original attributes of the materials used for its Synchro Summon. Light, Synchro monsters you control are unaffected by monster effects activated by your opponent. Dark, monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle, so giving you further board protection, but it's also just a board breaker with a banish capability. Then finally, our Link monster is 1 Alistair the Invoker of Madness. 2 monsters with different types and different attributes. This card's name becomes Alistair the Invoker while on the field or in the graveyard. If a monster is fusion summoned while you control this monster, except during damage step, you can discard 1 card, and if you do, add 1 Invocation or Book of the Law from your deck to your hand. If this face-up card you control leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, you can add 1 Omega Summon from your deck to your hand. This is just a really good extender because if you're kind of stuck and you don't have any way to get into Alistair, this card allows you to do that. It also turns your Thunder Dragon Fusion into a way to search for a Invocation which can help further your extension and further your plays to allow you to even go beyond the original board that you had and can set up even more interaction or further plays that can hinder your opponent. That's all I have for the actual extra deck. Let's hop into the deck in review. So, what do I think about this deck? Well, for those that are long-standing people that have known me for a while, Thunder Dragon is one of my favorite decks. Invoked was the next build that I built of Thunder Dragon after it got hit on the first ban list in which Colossus was banned. This combo feels more natural to me and is one of the most entertaining and fun ways to play it in my eyes. I will always enjoy Invoked Thunder Dragon because it's just a at-home favorite for me. But what about in actual competition and in competitive? This deck offers up a lot of capability that a lot of others don't really think of. From being able to banish, pop cards, lock your opponent out of searches, set up big beaters, this deck has it all. Gives you a lot of good capability to break your opponent's board, but send up a really good going first board as well, giving you the full board capability to control the game in whichever way you play. What are the pros and cons of it aside from that? Well, pros, you're utilizing two really fun cores nonetheless, but they do have their fallbacks. Since this deck is mainly fusions, you are kind of locking yourself out of really utilizing any other kind of summoning method. So any kind of cards that prevent fusion summoning or something of a certain type can really hurt this deck nonetheless. You do have bigger bodies in the actual deck as a whole that can be modified, swapped in, swapped out, whatever you feel like. But as a whole, this deck is really cool as a whole. Would I see it as a YCS topper? It might make top 64 if you have a really good pilot. Regionals, it is a possibility to top an event here or there. This deck has a lot of good capability, can be heavily modified to fit your playstyle or whatever hand traps or whatever you want to really utilize. You can take the hand traps out and add more of a combination of where you're running the Bestials and a few other cards as well to ensure more board breaking capability, or you can just even run board breakers. That doesn't hinder the deck's playability at all. But if you were to take this to a locals or YCS or anything else, please make sure that you get a lot of practice in, because the combos do require a little bit more practice than what either normal Thunder Dragon or normal Invoked would do, because you can end up with some very bricky hands. But if you have a good enough pilot, you can power through them and set up a really good board. This deck does play into a lot of hand traps, Stroll being one of them and being the biggest weakness of the deck, where it can actually hurt the deck a lot. But nonetheless, that and Artifact Lancia are really good counters to this deck as a whole. But will it still remain as a all-time favorite of mine? If not the most favorite of mine, yes, it will. I will still play this deck nonetheless, whether it be with friends, whether it be a competitive, regionals, whatever. I will continue to play this deck until the day it dies. Or whatever. But anyways, guys, I know I keep saying but a lot here. However, I just want to say thank you for hanging with me. We finally hit the 150 subscriber mark, and I'm so excited and so happy to announce that. And I can't thank you all enough. If you guys have made it this far, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe. And I'll see you all in the next one.